Hello everyone. So today I will present a new application, Simple Calculator. So that will be our second simplest application in Android. So that particular application has very simple design and not really complex logic. So it will be pretty easy to implement that particular application. So what is this application doing? So technically, this is the very simple calculator where I can process the summation, subtraction, or division in between two numbers. Let's say my number one is 20, my number one is 10, number two is 20. So if I will click like sum, so right here I can see the answer 10 plus 20 equal 30. So pay attention on that particular sign. Now it is plus. So if I will click subtraction, so that will be 10 minus 20 equal minus 10, or divide 10 divided by 20 equal 0.5. So there is an extra functionality in our code. So for example, here, if for some reason there is no given numbers in the first text field and I click plus, so my application do understand that number one is not given and helping user to correct the error. Please insert number one. So if in some sense both numbers are not given, so here it is telling us please insert number one and number two. So and similar we may have that situation. So if number two is not given, please insert number two. Then so I can do it again. So if the calculation is going on properly, so there is no any notice message. Okay, so now let's start making that particular application. So we will use our Android Studio. So file, new project. So let's choose empty activity. So our application is like simple calculator video. I'm doing video. So 21 simple calculator video. I think that's fine. Okay, Java, Android 5. So this is our application. So let's start from the design. I will delete hello world. So the first one is the simple calculator. This is our text view. So 24. I don't need to modify anything here. So and let's say here will be the text simple calculator. Calculator is enough. Calculator. Okay, after that I will need to place this. So this is our plain text. Place it here and connect. Okay, so right here we can see 24, 12. Instead of 12, let's also add 24. Okay, so width, let's change to 70 dp. So I want to have the fixed width. So that will look like this. And instead of name, I will just place it empty. Okay, another important part is our widget ID. So because based on that widget ID, later I will call my different widget in the source code. So that's why that particular ID must be meaningful. So must have some meaningful title. So, and I will call number one field. Number one field. Okay, so here refactor. And the next one is that particular sign. So text view, let's connect it. Okay, so that part must be also changed during our code. See here, if I change it, so that particular information text here is changing from plus, minus to divide. So that's why it means that we will need to call that particular object, and let's call it operator field. Operator field. Okay, so the text, let's change to minus. It actually doesn't really matter. And what I want to do is to fix size 20 dp. Yeah, let's keep it 20. So the next, what I want to do is to place that next widget, so which will be number 2 field. But what I can do, I can copy it from here. So just highlight the first number field, Control C, Control V. So now we can see there are two number fields, number 1 field and number 1 field 2. You cannot really see it because they are located together. So if I will move number 1 field to somewhere else, now we can see it is different. So if it is connected here, that will be not really a good kind of good way to go. So that's why I will remove that particular left connection or left constraint. So what I can do, see here, there is like message delete left constraint. Just click here. So then there is no that particular message anymore. And now I want to connect it here. And let's place it over there. So the title is not number 1 field. So this is the number 2 field. Okay, done. So here will be another text. Another text view. Okay, text view. So connect it here, connect it there. Let's place it somewhere here. I don't need to change title because this is just equal. Okay, and I will just copy that text field again, Control C, Control V. So I will disconnect again left. Connect it here. Just place it back over there. So and change the title. So right here I will display the result. So that's why let's call that particular widget as the result field. Result field. Okay, done. So now I need to add 3 buttons. This is my button. Button 1. First button, which is summation. Summation. So let's call it button sum. I will not modify anything here. Maybe better to make 24. So the text for my button will be sum plus. As long as plus is here, plus. Okay, and I can do the same with button. Control C, Control V. So this is my another button. So let's call it button subtraction sub text. It's text. Plus. This is minus. Okay, and what I need to do is to change that constraint because the second button must be connected to the button plus and the left side. So technically I don't need this constraint. So what I can do, right click here, see here where is the clear constraint of selection. So that will remove all constraint. And now I can connect it again. Okay, let's place it here. So minus button sub. Control V, actually I already copy button sum. See, this is my button sum. And let's here delete this constraint, take it here. So this is my button divide, and right here the sign is division. Okay, so text is text field. So let's place the text field which will display the notice, this one. So this is the text view. Again, let's connect it. Here, minimum 2. Always remember that. Okay, so the ID of that particular widget, let's assign as notice field. Notice field. Okay, and here instead of this text, I will just place something like this. Okay, so and design is finished. So let's run our application to see whenever it works or not. So we successfully launched our application. So this is our simple calculator video. So definitely now our button doesn't work. So in here there is nothing inside. So the next what we will need to do is to go our main activity Java and let's start coding. So to do the coding, so first of all we will need to identify which widget we are going to handle and modify in our application. So I am going to insert text here and here, so that's definitely those two widgets must be accessible. I am going to present my result here in that third text field. So that's why, again, we will need to enable that particular widget in our application. So that particular operator in between number 1 and number 2, I'm going to change from plus minus to divide. It again must be accessible. And the last one is that notice. Notice path, again the text view, what is given right here. Well, let's start from the edit text as long as we already tried before. So we should start from the private. So here will be number. So first we will need to call the name of our widget. This is edit text. Okay, and now let's create the object of the class edit text. So that will be number 1, number 2, and result. So there are 3 edit text components, number 1, number 2, and result. So what we created here. So right now that particular object of the class edit text has been assigned but never used. So, and what we are doing now, what do we need to do now, is to connect that particular objects with the real widget. Remember, the name of this widget here is number 1 field, but the name of the object is number 1. I will recommend you to name your widgets in that particular way. So the widget name and the object name must mean something similar. You cannot use exactly the same name, that will be error. But similar name you can use. So that's why my number 1 object, so will be edit text, find view by ID, RID, and right here I can see my number 1 field, because that number 1 field must be connected with the object number 1. So place it here. So if you can see no any errors, no red colors, and that particular number 1 field became italic, so means that the connection properly adjusted. So we will need to do the same for the number 2 and result. So for number 2, that will be very simple. So for the result, so here is the result, and this one is the result field. Okay, so now those 3 text widgets, edit text widgets are connected to my application. So if I need to read numbers or display numbers, I can use that particular object number 1, number 2, and result. So the next what we will need to do is to code our buttons. So we already did it last class. So to code our buttons properly, go back here, highlight our button, and right here check for the on-click property here. So as long as we will, so how does it work? I will click the button plus. For the button class, I will enable the on-click property, call that property click sum. So, and in my source code, I supposed to write a function which will be connected to my button plus through this name click sum. So for the button minus, I supposed to make the click sub, so that will be the subtraction. And for the last button divide, click divide. Done. Okay, now come back to the main activity. So now for each button, let's make a function. Public void click sum, view. Okay, make sure that the name of this click sum is not gray. See, if I will change the title, change the name, maybe this is not really visible, but the color of that particular name is gray if that particular item is not exist. So if I will come back to the item which is connected to my button plus, right here you can see that click sum has some kind of some bright color. So if it is wrong, so the color is gray. So make sure it is bright. So right here, we're supposed to process our summation. So to process the summation, the first what I will need to do is to create a string component where I will keep number 1 and number 2. So that will be the string. So remember, the string is the text. So the numbers what will be presented in our calculator here, if I will write 100 here, this is text. So, and that particular text, see here, I can even copy paste. So it is not the number. And what we need to do is to convert that particular text to number. So as long as this is text, that's why we are using the string component. Let's call it n1 str string. So, and in order to copy the whole text into our string, I will just call my widget. Remember, this is number 1. Get text to string. So now the text what is given here will be inserted into the string n1 string. So the same I will do with the number 2. Number 2. So that will be the text from here. Let's say 20. So this 20 will appear in n2 string. Okay, so the next what I will need to do is to convert text in n1 string to floating number. So our mobile phone, Android Studio, cannot do the mathematical operation with the text, but it can do mathematical operation with the numerical types: integer, float, double, and others. So, but right now our numbers here, they are not numbers, they are text. So, and what we need to do is to convert them into the numbers. How to do that particular conversion? So let's create floating numbers. Floating numbers, let's call it like number 1 float. And that particular number 1 float will be what? So I'm supposed to take text from n1 string and convert it into the float. To do that, I will use the specific class float. So float dot, you see here there are a lot of different things. So float, I need to use the command parse float. Okay, once again, dot parse float. See here, input parameter is the string s. So means that if I will place some string here, that particular string, if it contains numbers, will be converted into the corresponding numbers. So parse float, and here I is supposed to place my string. So the string which contains my number 1 is n1 string. Done. So the conversion is proceed. So the same I will need to do with my number 2. Here is 2. So now my number 1 float and number 2 float is actually exist, and now they are same with the numbers what we want. So this is 100. So this is 20. Okay, the next what I need to do is to process summation. See here, I supposed to see 30 here, means that number 1 I need to sum with the number 2. So this is our float result. Let's call it result float. So that will be my number 1 plus number 2. Okay, so and here the result float is 30. Stop. 120. So now what do I need to do is to display that particular numbers into the screen. So that the name of that particular widget is the result. So and what I need to do is to call the widget result. That's so see here where is the set text. So set text, and now where is the opposite problem? So if here I supposed to convert from text to floating numbers, so here I supposed to convert back from floating number to text to present result result float in the widget result. Okay, so here result set text. So now in order to process that particular conversion, I will do this string dot value of, and here I supposed to find float. See float f value of float result float. Okay, so now if I will launch my code, so here if I will place my 100, so here place 20, click sum, I can see the result 120. So this part is finished. Okay, so what is our next target? So the next what I want to implement is that particular part. So here, if the numbers is not given, so I cannot process the conversion. See here it is saying number 1 and number 2. Please insert number 1, number 2 in order to get the answer. Okay, so now what is wrong here? So let's launch this application. What we have, see here there is no any numbers. What will happen if I will click plus? Couldn't really see. Let's do it from here. Plus. Simple calculator video, stop. So that means that there is something wrong with your application, some kind of logical error, and it's dead. So what's exactly happening here? See, n1 string and 2 string, okay, let's find it again. Is the text what is built from the text field, like text component, number 1, number 2. So if it is empty, so my n1 string and 2 string is empty too. So and that particular empty will be, the compiler will try to build the number. Impossible to build the number if there is no digits. So that's why the compiler crashing. So that's illegal to do that. So in order to prevent such kind of failure, so we will need to check whenever the text exists in our n1 string or not. To do that, let's do this. Like if my n1 string, so remember the string is the text. So for the text, I can count the characters. So this dot length, that particular command will tell us how many characters I already present. So if at least one number is presented here, so it means this is not empty anymore. So that's why I can do this. Like let's place the bracket here and here. So I can process this if my n1 string length is not equal 0, isn't it? So if it is not equal 0, means that, okay, see, here I place 1. Now this is not, the length of the text inside is not equal 0. So now length is 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so I think this is clear. So if my text inside, length of the text inside of my text widget is not equal 0, I can process calculation. But I do have two numbers, isn't it? So number 1 and number 2. So means that this condition must be a little bit more complex. Okay, so in here I'm supposed to add another condition. So if this length of n1 string is not equal 0 and the length of our n2 string is not equal 0. So if both of them like this, so if both of them presented in our text field, so I can process my calculation. So, and that will not crash our app. So now let's try whenever it works or not. Okay, see here, this is like empty numbers. If I will click plus, perfect. So this one, those conditions working, because if both of them non-equal, if the length of both of those text components will not be equal 0, only in that particular case I will process my calculation. Otherwise, see here, if, so that will just skip the calculation, skip that particular coding, and nothing happened. So if I will insert just one number, again nothing will happen, because again here I need both of them be not equal 0. So and only if I will insert the second number, so now calculation will be possible to process. Okay, nice, but this is not exactly what I want, because in my original application, so here, if the numbers, is not given like this, so instead of displaying nothing, actually here my application is saying, please insert number 1, please insert number 2, or please insert number 1 and 2, means that our case, what we will need to check we'll have at least like 3 possible choices. Okay, let's come here. So here I am supposed to call else. So if this, I will process the calculation. Else means that something else is going wrong. So it's going on. So that can be either this like n1 string empty, n2 string empty, or both of them empty. So, and now I need to check all of those cases. Case 1, n1 string and n2 string are empty. So how can I code this? If n1 string dot length okay, see now empty. What does it mean empty? Empty means the length is equal 0, isn't it? So that's why here I will just write this. So if my n1 string length equals 0, means n1 string is empty. So but now I need both, case 1, both of them empty. So that's why I will add and here we'll do again like n2 string length equal 0. So if both of them empty, so what do I need to display? Okay, so now I need to display, isn't it? So in order to display something here, I need to enable my notice in my application. So coming back here into the header, so there is nothing related to our notice and that particular operator. So we actually miss that particular operator. Okay, the first let's enable our notice part. So remember the notice part, if you will come back to the main activity, this is our notice. Notice is what? This is our text view. See here, text view. So this is edit text. Okay, so come here. Let's do this like private. So this is not edit text. This is the text text view. Then let's make a name notice. So here in the onCreate class, let's connect my notice with the existing text view. Find the view by ID, RID dot, and here is our notice field. Okay, done. So now I can change my notice. So notice dot set text, and here I will insert. So please insert number 1 and number 2. Once again, why number 1 and number 2? Because both of them empty. So that's why my message here will be please insert number 1 and number 2. Okay, let's check whenever it is working fine or not. So see, both of them is not given. Click plus, please insert number 1 and number 2. Okay, this is the one case. So, but here will be some other cases. Else if. Else if. So this is the case 1. So the case, let's say case 2 will be n1 string is empty. So if n1 string is empty, so what I will check, n1 string dot length equals 0. So that case will be n1 empty, but n2 is not empty. I can add, just to make sure this is clear, string, n2 string is not empty. So if here I will add only one condition, so see here I check both of them. So if both of them equal 0, I will place this. Else if, so I already skipped that part. So now if my n1 string equals 0, so means that n1 is empty, but n2 is not. So and here I will call that particular property. So here n1 empty, so please insert number 1. Okay, I think this is clear. So and there is one more condition. So here I don't need if. Why? Because see here both of them not equal. I am doing this. So I am doing that else if this n1 string empty and 2 string empty or both of them empty. So right here case 1 I already checked both of them empty. So this second case I check n1 empty. So that's why this else there is only one possible case here, case 3 and 2 string is empty, but n1 string is not empty. Okay, so and the answer will be very simple. So here, please insert number 2 if the n2 is empty. Now let's check whenever that particular thing works or not. Okay, so please insert number 1, number 2. Okay, insert number 1, please insert number 2. Perfect. 20 plus works. Okay, so now if I will delete number 1 plus 1, press plus, please insert number 1. Okay, so that part is fine. Only one thing what I don't really want, if there is something wrong, it display result. So to resolve that particular problem, every time when I click the button plus, let's empty result. Result, set text, nothing. So now if doesn't really matter, do I have case 1, 2, or 3, or this case, so the result will be clear. So, and only if I can process the calculation, I will display the result. So that will make my application more reliable. So again, plus 1, 2, so insert 10, number 2, insert number 1. Okay, see now, if I can display both numbers, I don't really need to see this. Please insert number 1. Now it is wrong. So means that before I will click the button sum, so I will also need to refresh my notice. So the notice should be empty. So again, I click the sum. So we'll get n1 string, n2 string, empty the result, so I don't want to see this number, and I want to empty that notice. Okay, so here notice set text empty. Okay, run. Okay, now please insert number 1, number 2. I will insert 10, 20 equal. Okay, see now the notice disappear. I don't really need to see notice if everything is going right. Right, so if I will delete one number, see the number 2 disappear because I deleted, but now the result is also will not be visible because without number 2 it is technically useless. And there is only one part what I miss is that particular minus the operator. So in my application again there is no operator. If I will come back here, operator is text view, operator field. Okay, so go back here, let's make operator, and I will create operator from notice because this is the same text view. Oops, operator. Okay, and here add notice operator field. Okay, done. So and my operator will be changed when I can process my summation. So operator set text. So if I will do the summation, so here it is showing me sum. So the symbol plus here. Okay, now let's check. So here 10, 20, sum. Okay, so now that particular sum appear in between number 1 and number 2. So that part is working. Okay, and the next what we will need to do is repeat everything what I just did here for the button minus and divide. Okay, so just copy that part here, So actually, to do the summation, I need to change from click sum to click sub. So everything will be same except here, instead of summation, I will process subtraction. So here, an operator will be minus. So that part related to my numbers will remain same. Okay, and I can add one more function. So click divide. So click divide, and again I will need to change only divide here and sign divide here. And now I can run. So 10, 20. So if I will do plus, 30 minus 10 divide 0.5. So, and we can see it is still broken 2 minus. So plus minus divide is working, and there is only one extra topic. So what we will need to discuss is related to button divide. So what is wrong with the divide? So here, okay, so if I delete number, like the second number, like, and click divide, so it is saying please insert number 2. What if I will insert 0? So it is clear that I can add 0, remove 0, result will not change. But what if I will divide by 0? Answer is the infinity. So actually the compiler is not dying. So, but in mathematics, division by 0 is forbidden. Like, we cannot divide by 0. It makes like impossible result, infinity. So let's do that in our code. Let's prevent such kind of result, like impossible to divide by 0, where I can place it. See here, when I create my numbers 1 float, number 2 float, I can check. So if my number 2 float equal, not equal 0, not equal 0. So if it is not equal 0, I can process division. But if I can't, I can say that, okay, like division by 0 is not possible. And if my number 2, this number, is equal 0, this is else. Okay, let's set up number 2 float equal 0. So division by 0 is not possible. And that makes our application better. Okay, so here again, if I will place 10, 2 divide, it is 5. So if I will place 0, so it is saying division by 0 is not possible. So please change the number, change to 2, right? And that's getting fine. 5. Okay, so that's all for today. Simple calculator video. So just try to make that particular application and make sure that everything what we discuss right here is clear, especially about that particular if conditions. This is important, but later we will use it as well. So that's all for today. Good luck.